All right, we're good to go.
Okay, good morning, members of council, members of management. We have some special guests in our council chambers this morning. Welcome, gentlemen. It is, get my glasses on here. It's 10:02. I'd like to call this special public meeting of council dated August 28th to order. I would ask the member of council, we move that the meeting open.
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Maurice Hines, seconder.
Second.
Councilor Myra White, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Okay, item number 2 is our land acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge the town of Stephenville as the ancestral homeland of different populations of indigenous people. We also acknowledge with respect the rich histories and cultures of Beothuk, the Mi'kmaq, Innu, and Inuit of the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. As circulated by our staff, item number 3, I would ask a member of council to approve the agenda as circulated.
Move.
Moved by Councilor Darren Roberts, seconder.
Second.
Second, Councilor Maurice Hines, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Okay, item number 4, resolutions. The following resolutions are presented in relation to the financial statements being received from the auditor and reviewed by council. I would pass it over to the CAO just to give an update of why a special meeting is called with audited statements at this time as opposed to a normal sequence of public meetings.
Yes, so there are a couple of items related to that. One is mayor and councillors and also those listening, that the financial statements normally you seek to get them in as soon as possible after the audit is done. In this case, there were some delays from the auditor related to the timeline on which they presented it to us. So there were delays by the auditing company, and that then led to them presenting it late to us in comparison to when we normally receive it. And then following that, in legislation, we are supposed to have this done, I think it's by August 1st. And so therefore, rather than waiting until the September meeting of council, and again, we present this and there are others who don't get it in even on that timeline. Some have accounting firms which can handle it more quickly. In this case, it's a transition, I think, from a prior accountant to a new one, and you'll see that in one of the resolutions here. So when we got it, then there were some questions and review by the Finance Committee of Council, some back and forth between the Finance Committee and the accountant, and we finalized matters to everybody's acceptance and then bringing it forward as soon as possible. So we received this late last week, I think it was, when we finally got the document in the current form. And that the other aspect of this that's required is there are things that we are doing with municipal affairs where we cannot proceed until the audit is in place with municipal affairs. So expediting it to this special meeting is an important element of trying to tidy up those items which are awaiting this audit being presented in municipal affairs. So this will allow us to get those applications for other monies that we are seeking, and also to satisfy municipal affairs that we can spend money that has been allocated through the Green Community Building Fund and other elements where we are able to access funding. So on that basis, this is the reason for this special meeting being called today.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Ramsey. Just want to say too, on our sequence of meetings, just to add clarity, we normally only meet every 3 weeks, so allowing a special meeting to approve these audited financial statements, as Bill said, allows management to manage and access funding in municipal affairs that's we can allocate towards everything from contributions towards MCW projects or paving streets and so forth. So on that note, I'm going to turn it over to our Chair of Finance, item number 4 for the resolutions in reference to our audited financials.
Item number 1, approval of audited financial statements
Be it resolved, council hereby approves the consolidated financial statements for the town of Stephenville, the period ending December 31st, 2023. I so move.
Moved by Councilor Myra White, seconder.
Second.
Second, Councilor Darren Roberts. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, on that, is there any discussion on that item? Call from the finance committee? Thought you were planning to make a few statements about it.
Yes, I'm going to turn it over to Darren. He's going to,
Do we follow after all the three resolutions are approved, or do you want to do it now?
We can do it now.
Yes.
It'd be better because you got, I've broken apart this time into three separate resolutions. In the past, the two of them were together. And I thought it better to break them into separate resolutions. So maybe we could have that discussion now.
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to turn it over. Do you need my pen too? He gives the gavel.
No, I get a red pen here.
Right color.
Councilor Roberts, could refer to the page number for,
Well, I'm just gonna give a brief summary, give you overview. Reason why, to most people, this stuff is boring, so don't fall asleep on me. To me, is my life. As you know, and most people won't know, when we do a budget, we do it on one set of standards, and we do finance statements on a different set of standards. So numbers varies greatly, okay, and you'll see this in the discussion. So I say don't get too excited or too upset as we go through. Okay, so basically on your first page, page 6, you see your total revenues and expenditures, and you see the deficit of $1.3 million. Okay, so basically in accounting standards, we ran a huge deficit, just over $1 million. But when we do our budget, we use on a different standard. We don't take into consideration amortization. So in net expenditure, $11 million, there's $2 million in amortization, which is a non-cash item. Okay, so that reduces your operating deficit down. Also, not in those expenditures is our loan payments, which we could when we do our budget. So that'll go in as part of our budget and determine our surplus deficit as per municipal affairs budget that we got to do. Okay, so you will see that you flip when you do that. Actually, according to our budget that we submitted for 2023, you're showing a small surplus of $3,550 versus a deficit of $1.3 million. Okay, so the 350 is the number we have to work on because that's always submitted to municipal affairs, and that's what we're trying to accomplish. And the reason we do it that way, because that determines how much taxes we're going to charge our citizens. Okay, so we got this cash flow for a year for X number of dollars. We had to work backwards, say, okay, how much taxes do we have to charge our citizens to cover those expenditures? So the 350 is our magic number, not the annual surplus deficit as per PSAB financial statements. Okay, so one reason you were able to get to $3,550 surplus, we were lucky you didn't have to borrow a loan in the amount of $149,000 in 2023. So in saying that, even though we're showing a little surplus, we still failed to meet our budget reduction plan, our target plan. So that will get extended out for another year. Now, that target plan is not going to affect our expenditures of what we're planning, but we had to aim for it. Basically, what we do, we got to create a surplus in future years to get rid of that deficit. And mean without reducing our basic service to our citizens. Okay, clear?
Yep.
Okay. Now, positive news. The other positive news in this, you're able to reduce your debt, your bank overdraft. Okay. Which, sorry, page 10. In your cash servicing 2022, you're at $2.2 million. This year, you're at the negative 406. So a nice reduction of roughly 1.8. Part of that was, we borrowed $783,000 in 2023, which helps towards the cash position. However, the $783,000 borrowed in 2023 was for expenditures in 2022. Just the timing of the borrowing, expenses happened late in the year, never got the borrowings until January. Okay, so that's basically your major contribution towards, one of your major contribution towards your good cash position. Also, your collections and your receivables really well. So we collected a bunch of old receivables, so that helped the cash flow, got it down to 6. So it looks like if we keep going that way, should be good in future years in our cash position. Okay, which cash position is everything. That's what we're everything. In saying that, outside of that, I don't any other specific questions I can answer, but that's in a nutshell. That's the position we're in. We improved, but there's still a ways to go to get us back into a nice comfortable position.
Well, thank you very much for that. A couple of things. It's great work on behalf of management. And as we well know, when we present a budget, it is a budget. It's up to management to have a balanced budget as close as possible. Sometimes there's extraordinary things that happen and an emergency repair uncalled for in a line item. And that's been prevalent from every council that ever exists in this province or this country. Great news is, as Councillor Roberts said, is we reduced our debt significantly. When we walked into 2024 with only a 5% debt load ratio, where many municipalities can go up as high as 15 to 20%. The other good news is we do have significant interest in properties belong to the town of Stephenville. We have RFPs out there that will bring in extraordinary income should those properties sell and those revenue streams get allocated to general revenues, or will they be allocated to something special? The great news about getting this in a special public meeting so management can do their job and manage the town is it gives us the ability to get the funding to the provincial government to get our projects moving. And there's a tight window when it comes to construction, as we all know. You got May till November. That's it. So unfortunately, we do have about 5 or 6 months of winter, and that slows things down. I always like to state too that the record of this council, and over the last 7 years, we have eliminated poll tax, which was I guess identified as a regressive tax. We did it even before it became mandated by municipal affairs to eliminate it. So that was great leadership on our front. We also reduced the interest on unpaid accounts by 50%. We actually moved the mill rate from 7.4 on residential down to 7.2. Now, even though residents will see some of their taxes going up, it could be related to their assessments, which is outside of our control, even though the mill rate is inside of our control. But as a municipality, the cost of labor, the cost of energy, cost of diesel, they all, we're running a business. We're not a business, but we are a business. So they go up. We did move up one tax, which was, excuse me, which was the business tax. We moved it to 8.2 to be 1 mil higher than the residential. And according to the Canadian Federation of Independent Business, we're in really good shape when it comes to business tax cuts. The spread is very low. Excuse me, I gotta have a drink here. So on that note, I want to thank Councillor Roberts and Councillor Myra White, the Finance Committee, and management. So we did have a mover seconder. The audited financial statements have been approved. We do have a late arrival, Councilor O'Brien. Great to see you back at the table. Looking great. Nice to have you here.
Good looking, but not good looking.
It's like somebody said, it's nice to be handsome and handy, eh? So, we'll go to item number 2, Councilor Myra White, for the
Vote.
we already did.
Yeah, we,
Well, you know, you can, I think I interrupted you, you had.
Yeah, we should have did the
Just a
question.
matter of making sure, now you have Councillor O'Brien at the table, maybe you could go back and just recall the vote to ensure.
Well, then we'd have to, it wouldn't be appropriate, I think, to do that because the vote was done. We'd have to rescind that.
okay.
Okay, so, 4.2.
Yeah, we're gonna 4.2 into resolutions is approval of Canada Community Building Fund Agreement. Be it resolved, the council hereby approves the annual expenditure report, Canada Community Building Fund Agreement for the year ended December 31st, 2023 as presented. I so move.
Moved by Councilor Myra White, second
Second.
Second, Councillor Tom O'Brien. Question, I'm wondering, could you just give a little overview on this?
So
Sure.
over the course of the last number of years, there are a variety of Canada Community Building Fund agreement items, and activity thereon has to do with what has been approved by the provincial government through the CCBF for council. And now that's expanded, you know, as to the items. One time it used to be called gas tax. And now it has, I think it's 18 different areas of municipal expenditure or investment that can be utilized. And we have numerous projects on the books that are that have been funded and some that require some further work, including this audit, in order to proceed. So we have itemization, one which we recently spoke of was the Astera satellite scan of all of our water infrastructure, which we intend to submit to that particular piece. So this is a report that we file with the province annually, which requires the audit to be included as part of that. So that will allow us to access further funding. Approximately the amount unspent in the current, and it's not that we haven't applied for it, but we have approximately $1 million of funding that will directly offset any expenditures by the town. Some of them will be matched by municipal capital works monies, and some we will borrow monies to go along with those expenditures, depending on what the formula is allowable for different projects. So we have some paving projects which are planned for in the community. We also have the ability to use those funds towards our approved municipal capital works projects rather than borrowing, should council choose to do it that way. Again, we will present recommendations for each project with the basis that we will want to use the Canadian Community Building Fund monies instead of borrowing or in lieu of borrowing in some cases. So we, you know, it may very well be that it's better in certain cases to borrow, in other cases to just use those monies outright. And in some cases, we can just pay for an expenditure outright using the CCBF funds.
And with the submission now of the audited statements going to municipal affairs, this committee of municipal affairs meets regularly every 2 weeks, I believe. So with our submission now to get our projects moving, this will allow us to get a decision of approval in September so we can get the work moving that needs to be done in the great town of Stephenville.
And one other piece that is a constant problem, and in a recent meeting I attended with other municipalities, the way that the provincial government approves municipal capital works, they approve it usually in the spring. And then you go through this terrible, long stretched out process of engineering and tendering. And so we have a project on the books for the downtown area, all of the streets and the capital works, you know, water and sewer, all through the main street downtown. that still have not been fully finalized with municipal affairs, even though they've approved the monies for that. We also have a water improvement project for 2 new wells, which is also on the books, ready to go. We are hoping to do some advanced planning on that one so that we don't have to go to a full tender. We hope to go to tender under our engineering advisors with that one so that we can expedite that, because the water is very important to maintain the town. And we're, even though we're making improvements in the water leak testing and correcting the errors that we find throughout the town where there are leaks, we still are concerned about our amount of water available. So those 2 wells, getting them online as quick as possible is very important.
Yeah, a good example of that, in long drawn out process when it comes to municipal capital works is Main Street. I mean, it certainly looks like Main Street won't start this year now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not gone to tender yet. I mean, we're at the 1st of September, you mean?
Yeah.
And I gotta say, I'm so disappointed in municipal affairs, and it's in their hands. We got the announcement on this funding 3 years ago. Now, I know because we've met with the engineering departments, we've had the Zoom calls with municipal affairs. Coming out of COVID, a lot of things slowed down. COVID was a few years ago. And
We're getting tired
it's
of
like
that.
saying, yeah, excuses of these, somebody's got to take the bull by the horns and ensure that these projects get approved, because if they don't get approved in a timeline, your escalation of cost could go up. And then the first thing is coming back to the municipalities, well, it's over by $500,000. Well, we only approved our share and you got to pick up the rest. And then a lot of municipalities are not going forward with them because it wasn't in their budget. So the government has got to put a task force or something in place to ensure that these projects, because we're 3 years. So, you know, if we got it approved next week, can a contractor tool up? There's only a few contractors doing projects and the capacity is limited. And it may not be till next year, unfortunately, but a wise message in municipal affairs is something's got to be done about this.
We also heard, Mayor, in a report from other municipalities that they've had numerous projects, you know, a variety of municipalities, especially the urban ones, in the recent meetings that have had projects come in 25, 30, 35% over. And they've had to back off on either curtailing the amount of work to be done, or, as you say, just stopping a certain project altogether until such time as they revisited their capability of funding the difference. And how can they just take it on? Because, you know, the province has the ability to borrow on the bond market. Municipalities have to go to the bank and pay the same as normal business. So
Deputy Mayor Super.
Okay. Yeah, I just kind of want to add to what you're all saying, because I think it's a really important message for citizens who can be very frustrated by what they see. I know I always was, and I always questioned why construction started when school did, right when the busiest time, and I'd say, you know, this is ridiculous, they had all summer. But these are the kinds of things that I think councils take the hard knocks for, and the reality is we're usually ready, and you know, we announce as these things come in, as we're told we can, and then it ends up like Main Street. 2 years now we've been talking about, oh, this is the year, oh, this is the year. And you know, I can understand how citizens are frustrated. Paving particularly, there's a lot of the paving stuff that everybody yells and screams about that is outside of our control. The stuff that's within our control as municipalities, we deal with potholes and whatever we can do in terms of the small fixes, but the larger issues, the bigger streets and so on, most often it's because we're waiting for the other proponents in whatever project we're working on. So I think that's really important for us to constantly remind people and educate people about the process, so that people can direct your frustration in the right places and speak to the right people as opposed to just being frustrated and not seeing things as moving forward.
I agree with you, Deputy Mayor. I believe we should write a letter or contact Municipal Affairs and have a virtual meeting with them. And put a little bit of pressure on them to tell them that 3 years is not acceptable. So I would suggest, Mr. Town Manager, that we, well, the town manager, for a better word, that's COA, is it?
CEO.
CAO, oh my God.
Landers fine.
Western Health got COO, oh my Lord. Get used to all those titles. But anyway, Mr. Ramsey, I think a letter would do no harm at this point in time because it's not acceptable to have to wait that long. And as Councillor Deputy Mayor Fowler said, all I get when I go around town or get a phone call or whatever is, when is Main Street going to get done? You know, that type of thing. So, and I can understand because that is a busy street. My God, especially this summer, it's been really busy.
And your car goes
Yeah,
rickety.
yeah,
So, one of the things on Main Street I'm recommending to Management's Council is if there is an absolute, and we'll get that from our engineering, because All North is the engineering firm that's handling that file with municipal affairs. When there's an absolute that Main Street will not start this year, we need to do that dip in the road from Western College to the Brown Derby. We need to do a strip of repair there to get us through the winter and next year, because if it don't get started this year, it's still not going to be paid and completed till September or October of next year.
yeah.
So we're going to have to do that as a patch.
I think we might as well plan on doing that now.
Yeah.
Well,
Approval's not back from the municipal affairs, come back,
That's right.
goes out to tender for 3 weeks, it comes back. The tenders should come back, got to be analyzed, which is a couple more weeks. Now, boys, we're probably up to November now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's only for us to say the words, this is not happening until next spring. So that, I think we might as well plan for that catch.
Yeah.
so anyways, we let management figure that out. So all in favor?
I,
Carry. Okay, item number 3. 4.3.
4.3, approval of the appointment of financial auditors and accounting firm. Be it resolved that Allen and Skinner CPA Professional Corporation, PO Box 352, Corner Brook, Newfoundland, A2H6C3, is hereby appointed as the auditor and accounting firm for the Town Council of the Town of Stephenville. This firm has changed ownership from the town's previous accountant and auditors, Brian N. Hillier, CPA accountant. I so move.
Moved by Councilor Myra White, second.
Second.
Second, Councilor Darren Roberts, all in favor?
All right,
Aye. Carried. Okay, I just wanted to mention one thing, I think, before I would call for adjournment. We do have 50 attendees attending today, isn't that great? Welcome aboard the Town Council Special Meeting. But I had the honor on Saturday night to attend the 50th anniversary of Taekwondo in Stephenville. And Grandmaster Wayne Simon received his 9th degree. Master Leon O'Quinn, recognized, plus many others, plus our very own Dwayne Russell, Master Dwayne Russell. But what Taekwondo has done in Stephenville for our community, from a holistic perspective, is immeasurable. Over the last 50 years, we've had 800 citizens receive their black belts in Stephenville, Newfoundland. That's an amazing accomplishment. Coming out of our club in Stephenville, clubs have started all across Newfoundland from club members who received the status. It went across Canada, pan-Canadian clubs that started in Stephenville open right across Canada and different provinces. But it was a great event. Black belts, different dans. And 22 years ago, we held the Canadian Nationals in Stephenville. And I gotta say, it's every once in a while, a community leader comes forward, like a Master Wayne Simon or a Grandmaster Wayne Simon and a Master Leon McQuinn and Dwayne Russell. That are great.
Excuse me, it's Leon Benoit.
Leon Benoit,
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, Queen.
that's the guitar.
Your brother.
I was.
I couldn't-
I got a bit of an affinity with rock and rollers, just saying.
I can't let that pass. I'll have to tell you because that's my brother.
They have done so much, and what's nice is, we've had Dr. Cressy, Dr. Tom in our town. And their whole families became members of the Taekwondo club. So it played a physical, an emotional, a mental, a family support. But the greatest element of Taekwondo is to respect those community people that receive those white belts to brown belts to yellow belts to black belts to different dans have actually enriched our community. And that's an absolutely wonderful thing. And today, the start of the Paralympics, we have our very own Kippen's resident,
Yeah.
Katarina Roxon, breaking a record of being the 5th time Paralympian to go to, I think she started at 13 or 14 years old in the first Olympics, but now representing Newfoundland, Canada, flag bearer. We are very proud. And even though we don't have an Olympic-sized swimming pool, it didn't matter. She trained in Stephenville at our aquatic center and became a gold medalist on the world stage. That's a lot to be said.
Well, you know, now that you're talking about medals, there's 2 young girls in Beresford Brook who just aced with the weightlifting,
Powerlifting, yes.
and
Yes.
my nieces, in fact, George, my brother George's
Yeah.
granddaughters, and one little girl is so tiny. It's amazing what they did. So congratulations to them as well. But also, you talked about Saturday. I attended the Nomad Stages feature of Hadestown. Now, I didn't know about that was good to eat until I got there. But anyway, was almost intermission time and the fire alarm went off. So we all had to leave the building. So we waited around and everything was all clear, but I got to give a shout out to our fire department because they were on the scene right away. And I guess, I don't know what happened after, but I had to be a false alarm or whatever. So then, of course, the concert continued on, but to see those young children of 15, 14, 13, to do what they did. And I was talking to one of the ladies out front, grandmother, and she said, you know, my granddaughter, she said, wasn't up to doing anything like that. She was very shy and things like that until she got involved with the studio. And she had one of the main parts in this show. So it was, congratulate them on their show that they had on Saturday. It was a great one.
Actually, they're opening their new space on the corner of Queen and Main. On Friday, they have the grand opening.
Really?
On that stage, so I plan to go down if any counselors. would
What
like-
what day is that?
It's on Friday.
Friday, what time?
Just, it's the grand opening.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But I'd also like to say, I did a story with CBC this morning on the YMCA. And approximately a $3 million upgrade that's gonna happen to the YMCA. A full retrofit, everything from accessibility to turning it into an R20 facility. A 300 square meter extension for the demand that's coming with different programs and so forth. A whole new green sustainability hybrid system where it's going to go off of fossil fuels, go to electric, but it'll be a hybrid. There'll be a solar system, solar panels that will augment the energy demand and mitigate the cost. That's going to be a big, and it's 70 years. And as Maurice and you mentioned, we've had world champions, gold medalists from powerlifting, the Don Farmers, the Hayward Youngs. My brother Eddie, I think, held the Canadian record for the strongest bench in Canada in the Masters category at one point. I think Myron, you did a lot of lifting down there, didn't you, at one time? No? No? The Cormiers, yeah, the Cormier brothers. But, you know, from Taekwondo, and just think about it, the leadership of 81. He held the world's judo championship. The world came to Stephenville, Newfoundland. And, you know, 2 years ago, the German chancellor came to Stephenville, Newfoundland. So we are on the map. We are very proud of the leaders in our community. And it's a great $3 million investment that's going
And the
to.
town also is contributing significantly, which didn't really get noted in the announcement when it was made, but I think there's, the town will have to borrow or utilize the Green Community Building Fund for
About 600,000.
about 550 or so.
Yeah, I forgot to mention the girls' names, Rebecca and Georgia, Gigi, they call her. Lee, Rebecca and Georgia.
Yeah, she was the outstanding lifter in the whole meet.
So
Yeah.
on that note, there's nothing new. When's our next public meeting? Hold on a second. Well, are we on the 2 week or 3 week?
We'll be back on 2 weeks.
2 weeks, okay. I would ask that somebody move that we, Councilor Tom O'Brien, seconder. Second, Councilor Dan Roberts, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, meeting adjourned.
Even when he dropped my phone, we were still.
I got you.
Yep.
And nobody